We see that there's a difference because when Gojo uses his curse technique Reversal Red, it doesn't just instantly delete Jogo. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lilo, and today we're talking about why the Cursed Energy power system is genius. Stay steady in pursuit of your dreams and goals. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So let's get started with talking about Cursed Energy. So Cursed Energy overall is the main component behind the power system in Jujutsu Kaisen, and in my opinion, Cursed Energy overall is very underrated. The author of Jujutsu Kaisen has stated that he's a big fan of the series Hunter x Hunter. So today we're going to analyze many of the similarities between the power system of Cursed Energy and the power system of Nen and Hunter x Hunter. Then I'm going to talk about a few of the details that make Cursed Energy unique. So first off, the concept of Cursed Energy capacity and Cursed Energy output is very similar to the concept of aura capacity and aura output in Hunter x Hunter. One of the subtle differences is that in Jujutsu Kaisen, it's a bit debatable over whether or not your total Cursed Energy capacity can actually be expanded much with training. Characters like Yuta Akotsu are considered very unique for having a large Cursed Energy pool, so if you were able to just increase your total Cursed Energy capacity through time and training, then Yuta having more Cursed Energy than Gojo probably would not be the case. Meanwhile, in Hunter x Hunter, it's stated that you can increase your total aura output and aura capacity through time and training. Another similarity is Cursed Energy flow. Cursed Energy flow has a lot in common with aura flow in Hunter x Hunter. In Jujutsu Kaisen, an experienced fighter has a more smooth Cursed Energy flow than a fighter that lacks experience, so as a result, they're able to read and predict people's movements by looking at the flow of their Cursed Energy. This exact same concept is also present in Hunter x Hunter. Another similarity is Cursed Energy efficiency. Essentially, having high Cursed Energy efficiency means that you can use a lot of techniques and abilities that require Cursed Energy while spending very little Cursed Energy in the process. A good example of this is Gojo. As he fights and uses Cursed Energy, his Cursed Energy efficiency is so high that he spends almost zero Cursed Energy in the process. Another good example of this is Sukuna. He has very high Cursed Energy efficiency as well, and we see him fight for a long period of time while losing very little Cursed Energy in the process. In Hunter x Hunter, there's not a term titled aura efficiency, but the concept is described by Knuckle, in which he states Gon isn't very good at controlling his aura yet, and people who are better at controlling their aura, they burn through their aura at a slower rate. Another similarity is binding vows. Binding vows have similarity to Nen contracts or conditional nen in Hunter x Hunter, but in general, conditional nen is more restrictive than binding vows. In Hunter x Hunter, the more you risk, the more power you gain with conditional nen. It's not really something that you do mid-battle, it's more something that characters plan out ahead of time and make part of their overall moveset. In many cases, conditional nen is considered a trump card for Hunter x Hunter characters. But in Jujutsu Kaisen, binding vows are made mid-battle a few separate times, and they seem to have a lot more flexibility overall. Another similarity would be the sure hit component of domain expansions. In Hunter x Hunter, the Ortho siblings have a Hatsu ability that debatably might count as a sure hit technique. When they throw darts at a dartboard, their opponent at the same time is hit by darts. Killua states he wasn't able to sense the darts until the instant he was hit by them. Also, in Togashi's previous work, Yu Yu Hakusho, there was a power system called territories. One of the characters in his territory had a sure hit technique where anything he threw was guaranteed to hit his opponent. Also, you could argue that Knuckles' Hatsu ability, APR, might in theory also have a harmless sure hit where it accumulates interest every 10 seconds. This is somewhat similar to the harmless sure hit effect of Hakari's domain where his opponent is just hit with information. Also, you can see other potential inspiration from Hunter x Hunter throughout the characters of Jujutsu Kaisen. For example, Yuta has a lot of similarities with the character Chrollo. Both of them copy abilities and they also just look very similar to one another. There's actually a line of dialogue from Yuta in which it might actually be somewhat of a joke, comparing himself to Chrollo. There's a scene where Yuta basically says, for some reason, people tend to think that I'm stealing abilities, but I'm not actually stealing abilities, I'm actually just copying them. This happened during a very serious scene in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga, but when I read it, I wondered if this was actually like a Chrollo joke, like kind of a subtle joke saying, hey, Yuta's not Chrollo, he doesn't steal abilities, he's actually just copying them. Now, all that being said, let's talk about the things that make the cursed energy power system unique. So for one, cursed techniques are inherently different than Hatsu abilities. In Jujutsu Kaisen, cursed techniques are something that you're born with, and as a result, a large portion of people's overall potential in Jujutsu Kaisen is dependent upon talent. Meanwhile, in Hunter x Hunter, Hatsu abilities are something you create yourself. Also, even though the sure hit concept of domain expansions have some similarities to character within Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho, the concepts of domains being the pinnacle of sorcery is unique. Domain expansions also give characters a buff to their overall stats, which is another unique concept, and the way that domains interact with one another is entirely unique on its own. The concept that a more refined domain will overwrite other domains is very interesting, and the idea that two sure hits can cancel each other out while two people who launched their domains are fighting each other is also just a very interesting concept overall. Domain battles are basically their own power system on their own because there's many different rules and ways that they can interact with one another. Domains have a lot of unique and interesting details to them that separate them from abilities in Hunter x Hunter. Also, the anti-domain expansion techniques are unique to Jujutsu Kaisen as well, and the lore behind each technique is very interesting as well. Furthermore, the concept of barrier techniques in general, in my opinion, is genuinely genius. There's so many different elements to barrier techniques. It's a very in-depth part of the power system, as they're involved in barriers, curtains, and debatably skill with barrier techniques might have some correlation with sealing or talismans in general. This is debatable because Tengen, the master of barrier techniques, is also responsible for sealing different items in Jujutsu Kaisen. Also, we see talismans being used to create curtains in Jujutsu Kaisen, so there might be some connection between barrier techniques, talismans, and sealing cursed objects as well. Also, the concept of cursed objects and cursed tools is unique to Jujutsu Kaisen. The idea that every cursed tool has a cursed technique within it is a very interesting idea. In theory, there's a possibility that there was once either a sorcerer or a cursed spirit that had a soul-splitting technique, and it was stored in the soul-split katana. Things like this are very interesting and just make for fun debates within the Jujutsu Kaisen community, because it makes you wonder, was every single cursed tool once a cursed technique of a cursed spirit, or is there some other lore behind how weapons like the Soul Split Katana and the Inverted Spear of Heaven were created? Finally, Reverse Curse Technique is another ability that's unique to Jujutsu Kaisen. Cursed energy is negative, and when you multiply a negative by another negative, you get a positive. This positive energy is Reverse Curse Technique, and it's such a challenging skill that very few sorcerers can use it. There's also something called Curse Technique Reversal. It's a slightly different thing than using Reverse Curse Technique on other people. The only people we see use Reverse Curse Technique on other people are Yuta, Shoko, and Sukuna. It essentially just hard counter and one-shots cursed spirits. Meanwhile, Curse Technique Reversal seems to just be reversing your actual curse technique. We see that there's a difference between the two, because when Gojo uses his Curse Technique Reversal Red, it doesn't just instantly delete Jogo. It damages him, but it doesn't disintegrate him. Meanwhile, when Yuta uses Reverse Curse Technique on the Curse Spirit Kuro, he instantly one-shots Kuro with it. There's also an ability called Domain Amplification, which is pretty cool. Jujutsu Kaisen has many different things that make it a very unique power system. And I think overall it's just very with it. Uses Reverse Curse Technique on the Curse Spirit Kuro, he instantly one-shot. It doesn't just instantly delete Jogo. It damages him, but it doesn't disintegrate him. Meanwhile, when many different things that make it a very unique power system. And I think overall it's just very underrated. There's a lot of different cool things that happen with how these different powers and abilities interact with each other throughout the Jujutsu Kaisen series, so I just wanted to talk about it. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to say.